you are an established filmmaker. You have proven your skills as a storyteller. But what is this urge of yours? Like, keep going back to Mani sir and assisting him.
Uh,
How do you explain it? Yeah.
I started with him. I started
Mm,
my learning curve started with him. Before that,
mm,
everything that I've learned is just by watching films. So my
mm,
first experience of like learning about the craft, like it's almost like, I went to school with him, on Guru. So for me, whenever I come back and I work, it's like, it's just sharpening your skill set. You just, it's not like once you become a director, you know everything. It's not like that. I just feel that uh, I have access to Madras Talkies. I have access to him, so I keep coming back to him. I would love
mm,
to go work with some other filmmakers too. But personally, I love working with Mani sir because the kind of films he tackles and the kind of projects he does, I get like a
mm,
ringside view of films and stories, which it completely blows my mind of what he does with
mm.
every film. So for me to just be around that kind of atmosphere, to just sponge from that, is something I look forward to. So I don't see that stopping. The learning never stops with him, and that's why I keep coming back. That's the only way to evolve, I feel, by making films, by watching filmmakers that I watching films of filmmakers that I like, by working with filmmakers that I like. I think that's the only way I would evolve as a filmmaker, and that's part of, at least that's what works for me as part of my learning curve.
By now, aren't you familiar with the methods of Mani sir? Or else he keeps surprising you
Every
whenever
day,
you
every day,
do it?
Manoj. Every day. 10 minutes back, I was surprised by what he just said because I knew that this is what he was planning for tomorrow. So I was sitting for tomorrow's schedule with him, and I was planning this is what he wanted to do.
Okay.
He came up with a completely like a different tangent. He came up with an
Mm,
idea which I had no idea. Like, oh, you could do that too. So that happens to me almost on a daily basis. That happens with him. So he's a guy with a lot of tricks up his sleeve. So I keep getting to learn a lot.
Coming to Navarasa, so how did this entire project fall in place? Can you just clue us in how it
Um,
started? What was it? Yeah.
right in the beginning, the initial stage, when they were kind of putting it together, Manisa
Mm,
kind of called me and said that this is what we're planning, would you be interested? And
mm,
for me, it was like a no-brainer. I
mm,
said, of course I would be interested. So and at that time, this was just the
mm,
idea that they plan to do 9 films, 9 emotions, and all that. So that's all
mm,
we had to go with, and the fact that they were doing it for such a big and noble cause. So I had no clue who the others were. I had no clue who all were going to be doing it.
mm,
So I was just excited that I was asked.
mm.
So I genuinely didn't care about who else is there. I was the fact that I was getting an opportunity by him, and I always wanted
Mm.
to do a film under Madras Talkies, under his banner. Though this is not Madras Talkies, it's just Mani Sir, but still, for me, it's Madras Talkies. The fact that I'm getting to do a film for him is it's a big deal for me, and I think the added bonus was that the story I pitched him didn't work for him, so I guess he felt bad for me and he gave me a story. So
Okay.
and he said, "You think this will work?" And I said, "That means that."
Mm.
So basically, I sent him a story and I was waiting for feedback.
Okay.
And in his response, instead of feedback, I got a story from him. He said, "Why don't you try this story? You think this fits?" And that was his
Okay.
polite way of saying, "Listen, boss, wo nahi kaam kar raha hai. Don't bother with that. Look at something like
Okay.
this." And I love the story. I heard, in fact, the story he
Mm.
sent, it's something I heard before. He had
Okay.
narrated to me some time back. So it was a feature idea. So
Mm.
then started the process of adapting it to a shorter format. And me and my writer Arpita Chatterjee, we got cracking it, and that's how it happened.
You also picked on the same emotion. Or was it your first idea was to deal with a different emotion out of this Navarasa
I
story?
said this already. I actually chose, when he asked me, I immediately chose Raudram. I chose anger.
Oh,
And he started laughing. He's like, I shouldn't have even bothered asking you. I knew you would say that only. And then I said, then I'll start working on anger. And in fact, we had
mm,
started jamming. In the 2 days,
mm,
I started calling him and kept asking about stuff. And we started jamming on one idea for the anger. emotion. And then 2 days later, he called me. 2 to 3 days later, he called me and said that Arvind Swamy is called dibs on anger. He wants anger. So then I said, okay, I guess. then tell me what is left. I'll pick from that. So he said five of them were left. So from the five, I chose compassion. I chose Karunai.
But it is, this film is like going back to a familiar territory, right? Because Solo also had some same territory. It also took a particular theme, anger, love, and the affair. But it's a very familiar ground, I take, for you.
It was and it wasn't. I mean, thematically, Solo had a very clear pitch in terms of it was 2 stories of rage and 2 stories of love, and both in its extremities. That was the pitch for that. And then the elements came in. Here, there was this one big thematic element, and we had to kind of arc our story as per that. So keeping that in mind, that motive in mind, I was working the story to see how best we can arrive at that, and how best we can arrive at evoking that feeling as much as possible without really spelling it out. I didn't want it to be so spelled out. In fact, I wanted to subvert it a bit, and I tried subverting it. In fact, once you see the film, you'll know what we have tried to do with that.
What is the challenging aspect of working with such accomplished actor? Prakash Raj, Revathi man, Vijay Sethupathi. Is it daunting, or they make your job easy?
They make your job extremely easy. They they are who they are for a reason. The body of work kind of tells you what they are capable of. So they're already bringing their A game. So then you just need to kind of just slightly steer them towards what you want. So I remember Vidhu Vinod Chopra told me this, that you can have the best script in place, and a bad actor can just completely decimate it. And an exact opposite can happen when you can have a very average script and a good actor can just lift it. You can just take it to another spectrum. And here, and the challenge, or rather the ambition, is always to marry the both, to have a good story and have good actors. So I would like to believe that I had a great story with me, and I just, as a director, I just had to execute that story. But what eventually happened is that the story that I had was a good story, but these actors who came on board just took the story and just flew with it. So then I had to keep up, and I had to say that, okay, you know what, I need to justify what they are bringing to the table and what I have with me. I need to kind of just put my 2 bits into it and match up. So I was completely overwhelmed by what each one of them did.